Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to just imagine walking into a living room for a new home care consultation. You can literally feel it. The air in the room is just thick. It's tense. There's a stack of unopened medical bills sitting haphazardly right there on the coffee table. And sitting across from you, it's a daughter who hasn't had a full night of sleep in weeks. Her exhaustion is palpable. And right next to her is her aging parent, who's visibly terrified of losing their lifelong independence. It's an incredibly overwhelming, highly charged environment, right? Well, today, we're looking at a framework that offers a massive fundamental shift in how we actually connect with families during these incredibly vulnerable, high-stakes times. We're moving away from those purely transactional conversations and leaning into deeply rooted, trust-building interactions. So let's get right into section 1, the heart of the decision. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely flips the script on what we usually do. For way too long, the default approach in our industry has been what we might call feature dumping. You know the drill. You sit down and immediately rattle off a laundry list of tasks your agency can do. We do meal prep, medication reminders, light housekeeping, all of that. But looking at the core of this framework, it completely busts the myth of the rational, highly logical buyer. Just look at the quote. Emotions drive purchasing decisions. Facts support them. When families are looking for home care, they're not rationally shopping around for some hourly commodity. No way. They are deeply emotional. What they're actually seeking is relief from their crushing daily exhaustion. They're desperately looking for a remedy for that heavy guilt they feel about not being able to manage everything on their own. They want peace of mind to quiet their very real fears about mom or dad's safety. In this dynamic, truly connecting means directly addressing those profound needs and desires. The facts, the licenses, the bonds, the prestigious awards, those are literally just the backup dancers. They just provide the logical support to justify the emotional decision the family has already made to trust you as their care provider. Moving right along, we hit section 2, the 5-step sales framework. So now that we know emotions are the real driver here, how do we actually navigate that? Well, here's a high-level map of the 5 chronological steps we need to take to build that deep emotional trust and ultimately secure the decision. We've got connect, empathize, educate, assure, and confirm. And let's be real, it is so incredibly easy to get totally lost in a high-stakes consultation. Families are stressed, so naturally they'll go off on tangents, maybe about complex medical histories, sibling disagreements, or financial worries. And without a chronological map like this, a consultation can easily derail into a 2-hour venting session with absolutely no clear resolution. This framework acts as your lifeline. It makes sure each step is taken in this exact order to properly guide a stressed family from a state of acute anxiety straight into a state of confident relief. Okay, let's dive into this. The framework reveals that connection actually starts with one simple but incredibly powerful action: listening. Before you ever open that glossy brochure, before you hand over a business card or pitch a single service, you have to step into their heavy reality. Genuinely understanding the family's concerns establishes the entire foundation. We have to let the exhausted daughter talk about her sleepless nights. We let the anxious father express his reluctance and his sheer frustration about having a stranger in his house. In these initial moments, silence and your undivided attention are absolutely crucial. They're the very first tools you use to build a sturdy bridge of trust. It's really about being present in their crisis before you ever even attempt to solve it. Once that connection is solid, the framework emphasizes shifting into empathy by actually acknowledging those specific fears openly. Imagine a family that is absolutely terrified to trust a total stranger with the safety and well-being of their aging parent. That fear is visceral. It is incredibly real. Acknowledging their current frustrations and, this is a big one, any past care experiences that might have gone wrong is absolutely essential. Let's say a family shares a horror story about a previous caregiver who just didn't show up, leaving them in a complete panic. We don't just gloss over that, right? And we definitely don't immediately get defensive about the industry. No, we lean in, we validate it. Letting them know that their frustration is heard and that their fears make complete sense creates this profound empathetic bond. Let's move to and see how this builds into step 3, educate. Notice how education comes after connection and empathy. That's so important. At this point, education is absolutely not a generic brochure dump. Because you've carefully laid that foundation of listening, you can now explain exactly how your agency addresses both their emotional and practical needs. Instead of just saying, oh, we do meal prep, the whole conversation shifts. It becomes something like, I know you mentioned being terrified that your dad isn't eating properly while you're at work and how you found the fridge completely empty yesterday. Well, let me explain how our caregivers specifically manage nutrition. They actually sit down to eat with him to turn a daunting task into companionship, taking that exact worry completely off your shoulders. See the difference? The education is targeted directly at the raw pain points they literally just vulnerably shared with you. Okay, step 4 is assure. Remember earlier when we noted that facts support emotions? Well, this is exactly where the facts step into the spotlight to demonstrate absolute reliability to a really anxious family. Assurance comes from providing concrete proof points, highlighting your rigorously trained caregivers, emphasizing your 24/7 availability, and walking them through your clear policies. All of this ensures there's absolutely no ambiguity. Think about how a specific policy directly neutralizes a common fear. For instance, a family might harbor this deep dread of a midnight fall. By explaining a 24/7 on-call system, they can instantly imagine the profound relief of knowing that if the phone rings at 2 a.m., a dedicated professional is already awake and handling the crisis. These structural elements of your business serve as a vital safety net, assuring the family that their emotional leap of faith is totally backed up by dependable, professional operations. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark difference in the two approaches for the final hurdle here, in step 5, confirm. This is where asking for the decision actually happens, and man, it's where so many well-meaning professionals just stumble. The wrong way to ask for the business is to frame it entirely around price, hourly rates, and deposits. When you do that, it makes the entire interaction suddenly feel like a heavy transactional burden. But the right way, the framework way, is to ask for a decision with absolute confidence, framing that final handshake entirely around value. You're not confirming a billing schedule, right? You are confirming a readiness to bring them the immense relief, safety, and peace of mind that you guys just mapped out together over the last hour. Which brings us to our final section, section 3, understanding wins over price. So, the crucial point is that everything we've just discussed really culminates in one fundamental truth. Look at this. Families rarely choose the cheapest agency. They choose the agency that understands their emotions, needs, and fears. I mean, this is a massive realization for anyone working in this space. By following these 5 steps, truly connecting, empathizing, educating, assuring, and confirming, you demonstrate a profound understanding of a family's reality. When a family sitting in a tense, overwhelmed living room finally feels deeply, truly understood, the entire atmosphere just shifts. You can feel it. The tension breaks. Suddenly, cheapness completely loses its appeal. Deep understanding beats a lower price tag every single time. Because at the end of the day, true peace of mind, that is entirely priceless. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really critical question to chew on before your next consultation. Are you selling a price, or are you selling understanding? Think about it. The next time you walk into a living room, feeling that heavy air and seeing the sheer exhaustion on a family's face, if you can leave the feature dumping behind and actually apply this emotional framework, you might just fundamentally transform not only the outcome of that meeting, but the actual lives of the families you're serving.